Okay, today I'm at the intersection of Kurtz and Mall Road in McLean, Virginia. And we're actually standing at a site that was once called Camp Griffin. Now, at the outset of the Civil War, soldiers were protecting the capital of Washington, D.C., which is just 6 miles away. As they got deeper into campaign, soldiers left the city, crossed over the chain bridge, and came to the area that we know today as McLean, Virginia. Camp Griffin was here, and it was the home to General William F. Baldy Smith's division during the first winter of the war. Now, a very famous photograph that was taken right here where we stand, looking in this direction, of soldiers of the 5th Vermont Infantry with their camp in the background. More importantly, this photograph was used as the cover for Ken Burns' Civil War book. In the photograph where I'm pointing, if you look at the original photograph, you can see a large outcropping of boulders and then a man mounted on a horse. That man was Colonel Lewis Addison Grant. Right where I'm pointing beyond that bush today are those boulders. And this housing development that was built in the 1950s has forever changed the landscape. This little rise that I'm standing on, however, goes downward toward the slope, and we're going to walk down there now, and I'm going to show you the boulders. Now, as we pan over here, you can imagine the tents of Camp Griffin here where you see these modern homes today. These homes were all built in the 1950s, and though they didn't change the dip in the ground, they did change the look and the landscape forever. The boulders, believe it or not, survived, and they today stand in front of the house at 1331 Kurtz Road. And they're covered in brush and ivy. So you have this bush here, then there's a wooden fence, and then after the fence, next to the telephone pole, is the covered boulders with ivy and brush. Here where I'm circling. And if you look closely at the pictures, you'll see these boulders here. And today, if you look very closely, I'm going to zoom in my lens, you'll see some of the boulders here, and then up here near the top. And so just to the left of this is where Colonel Lewis Addison Grant was mounted on his horse when the photograph was taken. This must have been an important occasion because in the photograph, the troops stand at attention before the mounted officer, Colonel Lewis Addison Grant. Most likely, the photograph was probably taken somewhere around November of 1961, since in the photograph you can see that the leaves are no longer on the trees. Colonel Grant would later go on and be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. He was brevetted a Major General. He served as the Assistant Secretary of War under President Harrison and died in 1918. Just a few minutes ago, before I shot this video, I actually talked to a lady that lived behind this house on another street. She never realized that that photograph that was used in Ken Burns' documentary, The Civil War, and also as the cover of the book, was taken here. So even though some people living here may know about the photograph, it is still a mystery to a lot. I did speak to the owners of the house here. They're an elderly couple, and asked them if I could wander around here a little bit and take pictures. Again, this is in front of the house, 1331 Kurtz Road in McLean, Virginia. It's a special and fascinating place that was almost lost to history. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drive through what would have been the actual campsite behind the rocks. So now as we drive here, we're going to make our very first left. And this is the area that you would have seen in the background here, just behind these tents where you see the trees back there that have lost their leaves because it was the winter of 1861, the first year of the war. And so where you see all these very nice houses, by the way, these would have been where all the tents from the Camp Griffin of the 5th Vermont Volunteers would have been taken. And then I'm going to do another quick drive down Kurtz Road, starting here from where the photograph was actually taken to the location of the boulders. And again, please feel share this video with friends. So the photograph was taken in this area, looking down that little grade where it goes down, and the boulders where Colonel Lewis Addison Grant was in front of 1331 Kurtz Road. Thanks again for watching. I am historian Frank Patrick Marone Jr. of Civil War Walking Tours.